Hello, and welcome to My Shot of Life with your co-hosts, Steven
and Victor.
On this week's episode, we'll be discussing the idea of guilty pleasures, and all while sipping on some of Blanton's Special Reserve. So, not to be confused with the Blanton's original single barrel that we've had a few episodes ago. This is the Special Reserve, green label. Later on, we will be presenting our recurring segment, Toilet Talk, where this week we'll be discussing toilet seats. And to wrap things up with the episode, we'll recap our thoughts, what we thought about the bourbon of the week.
Cheers.
Cheers. So right off the bat, Vic, what do you think is different about this that's different from the original?
I think comparatively, you can kind of taste a little bit of a difference. The sweetness of the Special Reserve, I think there's a little bit more of it. Kind of hits the back of your tongue, a little less bitter.
I did feel whenever you were swallowing it, it would the flavor would hit you at the very end of it, as opposed to what the original was.
Yeah, it doesn't quite punch you in the mouth. And the alcohol content in this is a little bit less as well than the standard.
And I'm wondering if they
Blanton.
just put a little bit more sugar in it, or
Make it sweet.
Yeah, make it good and sweet. So, guilty pleasures. I have them, you have them. I'm pretty sure most people have them, whether they admit that or not. But to me, a guilty pleasure would be something that you enjoy that if someone else knew about it, you may be embarrassed about.
Potentially. Our friends over at Merriam-Webster.
Shout out to my high school paper that I used, Merriam-Webster.
Maybe.
College.
Remember to cite your sources.
Term paper.
Always cite your sources. Merriam-Webster defines a guilty pleasure as something pleasurable that induces a usually minor feeling of guilt. Do you feel guilty whenever you do these guilty pleasure things?
It really depends, and I mean, I agree that is what the definition is, and at least that's how I've always interpreted it. I feel like there's some things that I like that I might not feel that guilty about, but if I were to really sit down and think about it, or if a lot of people were to pick on me about it, it would definitely make me insecure. So
A little sense of insecurity.
that might, I think that
comes with it.
Yeah, right. That would have to group together.
Yeah. So I think starting with something loose and lighthearted, let's talk about food. Everyone's guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It may not even be guilty. It may just be pleasure. But, I mean, for me, sometimes taking it to the extreme with my favorite food group, cereal.
And you're such a fitness person that I think it makes it a little bit worse on you whenever you eat something inappropriate, or someone sees you eating something that would be deemed inappropriate for your diet, or what their expectations for you to be.
Yeah.
And so when they see you eating that or drinking that, they're like, oh, well, why is he doing that? I thought he was like in shape.
Off.
Yeah, he must be slacking off. Or is he allowed to do that? Does that mean I can do it?
My love of cereal trumps my desire for a hard body. I mean, I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to go to the gym in order to eat as much cereal as my heart desires.
So are you and CC Sabathia pretty good friends? Because from what I hear, he used to eat a whole box of cereal every day during the off season.
No, but only specifically because I believe he was a Captain Crunch, or
he was a Captain Crunch guy. Captain Crunch.
Captain
Crunch.
Captain Crunch. And that's not really my cup of tea. I like the old school classics. Blueberry Morning by Post. Get out of town. Those clusters and the dehydrated blueberries. Oh, good gracious. I'm just drooling thinking about it right now.
And you like those mini toast. What was the one that
They're called Tiny Toast.
Tiny Toast.
Steven?
That seems to be the same way.
They came in a variety of
tiny and
flavors
miniature.
too. Variety. Apple cinnamon. They had blueberry, strawberry. I would buy them boxfuls. And I've even had like competitions with myself, embarrassingly enough, where I believe I did this with the Girl Scout Cookies Thin Mints cereal. I ate the entire box in one sitting.
I remember buying a box of those. They were on sale at the clearance aisle. So it was like half off, and it was super like hard, where it had been aged.
To perfection.
It was the very opposite of that, but I was very upset with the taste of it. So you're a big cereal guy, and I've seen you snack around cereal in the house. For myself, I would have to say pizza is a very big weakness. I don't know if it's much of a guilty pleasure because it just tastes so good, and I think everyone loves pizza. But
Everybody will give you a pass for that.
right, but I'm thinking along the lines of if you're working out and someone sees you eating pizza, they're like, well, this guy's just going to be a fatty today, I guess. So
Cheat
in
day.
that sense, that's a little bit guilty. My other one would be, man.
Protein bars? I think you
Oh,
mentioned earlier you were
yeah.
talking about protein
Oh my
bars,
God.
protein
I'm glad you
cookies.
brought that up because I am a sucker for protein bars because I use it as an example, or not an example, but a excuse rather to not work out that day, which makes no sense because it should supplement your workout. You're getting protein in your body. You're going to go work out. It helps your pump a little bit, I guess. I don't know, or it's usually a good
Fuel in the system.
it's good fuel before you work out or after you work out just to recover your body. But whenever you're eating it, you're like, man, I'm getting some protein in my system. I'm doing my body good today. I'm not looking at the carbs or the fat or the sugar, so who cares? But I'm getting that protein, and that's all you see. You see on the label, protein, 16 grams of protein, 28 grams of protein. You're like, damn, the more protein I get, it's going to be crazy. I'm going to be huge. Don't live by that ever. It's not a good idea. And what's worse is I think it's Lenny and Larry's cookies. Those are a death sentence because they're so good and they put you in a food coma immediately after you finish the whole cookie.
And they're also terrible nutritionally for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know, man. They're so good though. And when you take a bite out of it, you can't stop. You can't eat. You stop eating it.
I just like the denseness of the cookies. Like, I mean, you feel like you're eating something as opposed to some
Yeah.
other supplements.
Well,
and
the thing
things.
with I love protein bars, but it is so jam packed. It's almost like a vitamin ball, like just stuff with vitamins where it's like compressed and hard and rough. But when you're eating those Lenny and Larry cookies, they're so soft. They're like mom's soft batch that she would make at home, and they're so delicious. But they're not good for you.
Not good at all.
So leaving the food category, because I'm sure we could be stuck here all day, what other things do you find yourself judging yourself on or feeling that someone else would judge you for?
I think it's just kind of notoriously known that 80s music in general, and like that whole decade, like a lot of people make fun of it. 70s was defining for some rock and roll, and disco had its own unique take, and the style may have been unique back then, but the 80s was like a new time that nobody liked. They look at the music and it was
they were coming off all that LSD in the 70s, and then
and
they're
just
doing
waiting
cocaine in
until
the
80s
80s.
with all the boy bands and all that jazz. And so the 80s was kind of a filler decade, and it was one of my favorites for some reason. I just enjoyed all the music from that decade, the style. I just, like, if I could have been born and experienced my teenage years in like any specific decade, it would be in
Yeah, I
the
think we were
80s.
losing you for a second. I couldn't hear you unless that was my headphones.
Yeah.
Man, the 80s. I don't know, because there are so many good hits out of the 80s, but I feel like that's just a glorification of that decade.
I mean, you have your hits, of course, but I'm talking like depth.
Are you
listening
talking
to
about
albums
hair
the whole
bands?
way through. 80s hair metal, can't beat
Ooh,
it.
I don't know, man.
The
They
Police,
definitely
the
overplay that.
Smiths. Oh man.
Mm.
I mean, your classic
I respect
bands.
that. I myself am more of I grew up listening to Creed and Nickelback.
Gross.
So I grew up listening to rock music in the 90s, so Pearl Jam, I'm going to blank on this already, Alice in Chains,
Good grunge stuff.
and then Nirvana, all that type of music was like your classic 90s music, and you would hear all that going into the 2000s. And what came after that was kind of poppy rock music. It's gotten more poppy, and I think everything, all the genres have become very poppy in their own right. When they're on the radio, that's just how it is. People have to listen to something that catches their eye. But I would listen to Creed, I listened to Nickelback, and I thought that was the music back in the early 2000s. I don't know why. I don't know. It was so... Man, I can't even describe it now. I was like 10 or 11 years old or whatever.
So, I mean, looking back, it was certainly a guilty pleasure. I think we can agree on that. But
Yeah.
is it something that you today
Still
still kind of listen to
I
and
tried
have those
going back
fond
and
memories?
I tried going back and listening to Nickelback at work like a year ago, and I couldn't do it.
No.
I really couldn't do it. Like I think I could fight through an album, but Creed, I could listen to Creed to this day.
Huh.
Absolutely, all day Creed.
Did you go see him live?
And then I would also listen to emo rock music, so Mayday Parade and The Maine is still one of my favorite bands, and they've been around since I was 16. That's ideal emo pop music, and I was loving it, and still will listen to this day. 1 month out of the year, all the albums.
Sure. To jump on that music bandwagon, I'll listen to screamo every once in a while, specifically, and it's like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that just gets you fired up. People screaming.
It helps
in
your
your
workouts
ear.
too, man.
Definitely helps your workouts. And specifically, I've been diving lately into Japanese death metal and Chinese rap music.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Can't
off the
understand
deep
a
end.
word that they're saying, but I think it's like the perfect focus music for work, you know?
Well, I
You
could
kinda
totally
get in the
understand someone
zone.
listening to that or
They've got-
listening to your headphones and being like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, the music has like good beats. I mean, it pumps you up, and you can't understand a word that they're saying, so you're not necessarily distracted by trying to understand their words. So it's been an effective tool to use in the workplace. But as far as it being a guilty pleasure, I mean, I guess, you know, just the cultural divide, people not quite understanding what you're trying to listen to and why you would even be trying to listen to it.
Well, I've only heard maybe one or two of those Japanese death metal bands or songs, and I think one was in one of the popular anime that you actually got me hooked on. It was The Notebook. Death Note. Death Note.
Not The Notebook starring
The Notebook
Ryan
starring
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling in anime form.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the only one I heard, and that was a pretty, like, I don't know, man, it pumped me up. It was a good song.
Yeah, it was a good tune. But
Yeah.
I guess that transitions right into another guilty pleasure, at least of mine, is anime. I think it's definitely not 100%
I've seen it.
accepted across. We went a couple years to a Comic-Con, a couple years in
dude.
Raleigh. And I mean, I was on board for like the comic side, and I was just kind of getting more into anime at the time, besides your classic Dragon Ball Z that, you know, all of us kind of grew up on.
Right.
And just to see the type of people there, I mean,
There's people take it seriously.
yeah, they take it very seriously.
And the costume aspect of it, I can really appreciate the amount of effort that some people put into it. But man, I think that's some people's lives. I think that is what they are into all the time, and that's, you know, kudos to those people. I don't necessarily judge them because of it, but I know a lot of people would.
I mean, I don't go quite that far into it, but you know, you find a series every other season or so that's interesting to watch, and I've focused more so on, you know, the action anime, or like Death Note was. I think I've seen it 3 or 4 times through. It's 37 episodes, which is like, you know, 5 or 6 hours of viewing, but I've seen it 3 or 4 times through, and it's a psychological thriller that like makes you think the whole time, even though you've seen it before. You just kind of understand the thought process of each character a little more every time you see it. So.
Well, I think it's really, I mean, you can really appreciate the writing done for that TV series because they thought of everything. You know, when you're watching a TV show, you're like, well, why didn't that person do this? Or that's so silly. No one would ever do this, or they would obviously, you know, consider this, blah, blah, blah. But in that show, man, once you think of something that, why don't they do that? It happens right away, and it's, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. So anime, that's a big thing of yours, and if I were to push back on myself, I've seen anime, but I'm more into movies myself, and you know that I'm a big movie buff, and I follow movies day in and day out when movie trailers come out. So I wouldn't say that's a guilty pleasure where I stay up to date on the movie news, but I do love really bad movies. And I love showing them to people who might otherwise not like them.
And definitely don't always appreciate them.
That's right. So they definitely judge me for liking The Room, especially. I'm sure everyone's heard of the new movie that just came out, The Disaster Artist, based off of the original movie in the early 2000s called The Room, which is an absolute disaster, which is why the movie that they recently made was The Disaster Artist. But it is a masterpiece of terrible acting. So I can really get behind how awkward it looks from a viewer standpoint while they're trying to stay in character and read their lines, and then watching all these cheaply made movies that would come on Sci-Fi Channel. It's so great because you know that someone's trying to give their best performance that they can give, but they're either not a good actor or they're just trying to make money.
Or they're
and
Tara Reid.
It's great. It's Tara Reid and Sharknado, which I'd like to add. I'll watch a good Sharknado movie, man. They're stupid. They're stupid, but and the hashtags save Tara Reid. But I think one of the better B-level horror movies that I've seen. Actually, I don't know if it's one of the better ones, but it's got some really good scenes in it. Zombievers, and we sat down and watched this together, and it's on Netflix. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to listen or watch the movie, check it out on Netflix. It's got Bill Burr and John Mayer in the first scene of the movie and the last scene of the movie. And their appearances are definitely worth it. And watch the outtakes at the end of the movie.
Absolutely.
But seeing the beavers throughout the whole movie, they're so fake too. They're so fake, but it's great. I love it.
I think it's a solid time to at least mention that having these guilty pleasures isn't an issue. Like, I think that's the whole premise of what we're getting at with this episode is like, just be yourself. I've been applauded on a number of occasions for being weird and being unique and having these little, levels of my personality that may be considered guilty pleasures, or at least I consider them guilty pleasures. And so, I think that's what we're trying to reinforce here is that it's okay to be different and to
embrace it.
Yeah, and to like things. Not everybody's going to be into everything that you are, and some people are going to judge you based on the things that you like or do, but in all honesty, it's like, who cares what they think?
Yeah, if it rings true to who you are, do what makes you happy, what makes you passionate, at least as a hobby.
Sure.
I know we all have our day jobs.
Yeah.
So don't quit your day job and just start being an anime fan.
I mean, I think the reason why I've been able to embrace those little unique qualities that I have is just growing up around my dad, who I still consider to this day the weirdest person I've ever met. And so it's kind of like, and he tells me that all the time, and my mom says that a lot too, that he was, weird, and she has no idea how she ended up with him. But it's,
Did they have an arranged marriage?
No. No. But he had these unique qualities, and he just did his own thing and did not care at all about what other people thought.
That's good.
And, he did well for himself. So yeah. I'm just trying to mold my own way in that light.
So is there anything else that really strikes you close to home?
As far as guilty pleasures? I mean, I've got a good one, but I'm kind of saving it for our transition into toilet talk.
Okay. Well, I can go for another one. I have quite a few of them. One of my favorite things is to sing, and I love singing in the shower because it gives me a nice peace of mind. But I understand that there are people who can hear me throughout the house.
There are people who live in the same house as you, Steven.
They don't appreciate it.
They may or may not appreciate it, especially at like 6 a.m.
Oh man, I'm killing it. I know that we've had guests come over to the house, and I was showering, preparing for the guests to come, and they've commented on my singing. So that has made me feel a little bit self-conscious. Maybe not guilty, but definitely self-conscious. So along with that, that is one of my favorite pastimes. But then I also love going on YouTube, or at least watching videos where people get, I don't really know how to say this without just putting it out there, but people kind of getting hurt. You've seen,
man.
Well, you've seen ridiculousness, kind of like that. I don't go out there and do that on a weekly basis. I mean, I've seen videos, and I think it's funny. For obvious reasons, I feel guilty about it because I don't want the person to be hurt in real life, or at least in a serious way. One of my all-time favorite things, though, is going on Reddit. And going on Reddit, I see people constantly argue back and forth, or burns are thrown at each other. And you read some of the best things on Reddit because those people are creative. I mean, we have people in front of their computers all day long reading forums, just thinking of the deepest, darkest comeback. And it's so great. I love it. I love it so much. But, those people might hurt their feelings a little bit. Who cares?
Who doesn't love a good troll? Every once
Yeah.
in a
Oh
while.
my God, trolling is great.
Unless it happens to you.
What's the last one? What's the big one?
All right. So
You
this
seem
is
like one of those people who would fart on someone and then just like walk away and then like tee like laugh at it. And
me? That's weird because I'm pretty sure you have that in the show notes as one of your guilty pleasures.
I just do that to Jackson though.
That's my dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. The dog.
He does fart
The
on my dog a
podcast
lot.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Man, he likes it though. He just basks in the cloud.
He does. I mean, he's a dog.
So
he
weird.
likes unique smells, and so he just weirdly enjoys it. I'm
Oh.
sure. But to transition here, one of my strange guilty pleasures is the satisfaction of peeing sitting down. And as a guy,
Oh,
I
man.
think I think guys are a little more critical of other guys for peeing and sitting down.
Yeah.
We have been blessed with the luxury of peeing standing up.
Is that a luxury though?
I mean,
I guess
honestly, yes. I mean, I've heard it all
Well, you
the
don't have to
time
pull your-
from at
pull all
least
your
from
pants
women.
down to go to
Yeah,
the bathroom.
from women, they say sometimes that's one thing they wish they could do is
that's-
just pee standing up.
I guess the biggest thing with that is you don't have to worry about someone's butt cheeks being on that.
True. You don't
chair.
have to touch.
Anything that could have been
Yeah.
contaminated.
But
Right.
especially this is more so when I'm home. Just peeing sitting down. It's
It is relaxing. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
just fine, especially at night. You wake up in the middle of the night to pee, and you're not peeing all over the seat.
Yeah, dude. You
So
can
you
barely
just-
see what's going on.
yeah.
You get to plop down and just kind of like hold your head down. And
You almost like fall asleep on the toilet.
I have a great story about that in the future.
The most important thing about sitting and peeing is that you're sitting on a toilet seat, which just so happens to be our subject for toilet talk. Wow, weird.
Ooh, toilet talk.
Strange how that hurt. Flush noise.
Cue the flush noise.
All right.
Did
so
you like that?
I did. It
Yeah.
was great. So toilet seats.
Oh man,
Who
dude.
even needs some?
Who needs some plastic, paper, wood?
We got them.
We got
Come
them
to Toilet Seats Emporium.
where we can get your toilets for on the dollar. I don't know.
Recognize revenue sooner with accelerated revenue recognition.
By the way, this is Toilet Talk, sponsored by Prune Juice. Don't poop, prune.
Rosebud.
Okay, but on a serious note,
Toilet seats. You've seen them.
Man,
You've been
dude.
over to different people's houses. You've seen the variety. You've got your regular. You've got your round. You've got
round, like completely circle.
completely round. I mean, they've
You've seen
been
that?
round seats on round toilets. So
I don't know if I've been on
it's
a
more
round
old
toilet,
style.
though.
My brother actually, he bought a house, a couple years ago, and it's very much 60s, 70s. And one of the
Interesting.
toilet seats was wood. So you've got that. Have you seen padded toilet seats?
I have. I don't like that.
No.
Because that, all right, here, let me go ahead and tell you my complaint with padded toilet seats. Sweat.
Gross.
If you sit on the toilet seat longer than 5 minutes, your butt is accumulating sweat on that toilet seat. So when you leave, someone else is getting that. Oh, God. I just smashed my elbow in the chair, and it's so numb right now. Okay, so my issue is that once you leave, or if someone else leaves and you go use that toilet later, you have butt sweat. Someone else's butt sweat on the padding.
Someone
I don't
put
like
their
it.
sweat equity into that toilet seat.
That's right, and it's going up, up, up in value.
Absolutely. So I think we're fair to say that like just a standard toilet seat,
What's standard? Plastic?
I don't think it's maybe it's yeah, I think it's plastic.
There is
right?
there are plastic toilet seats, and then there are
porcelain.
porcelain toilet seats. Is that different from what the porcelain's the
toilet
material that the toilet's made
itself,
out of?
Yeah. I feel
They're-
like they're at least the ones in my house
Yeah.
are plastic.
I'm pretty sure that there are porcelain toilet seats, but then plastic is. I think we have plastic toilet seats.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's pretty standard. I mean, I'm cool with that.
But how do you feel about in the toilet seat itself? The
got grooves.
the inner part, there's a groove, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's slanted inward or concaved.
Contoured.
It's concaved up if you're looking at
Yeah,
the bottom of the toilet, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess you're sliding in that groove. Your legs are supposed to kind of get inside that groove, and maybe there's like some science behind it of it helps you use the bathroom
Who knows?
easier. I think we need to do an experimentation where we use different types of toilets.
That would be good.
Except for work toilets, because those are the worst.
Yeah. Speaking of work toilets or public toilets in general, I mean, you've got your toilet seats on there. It's not the greatest situation.
Oh man, porta potties, the worst.
So are you a coverer? Do you cover the toilet seat in toilet paper? If they have the disposable toilet seat covers, do you use those? Is that?
I kind of wrap up in toilet paper and then wipe everything down. And that's honestly not the best solution, because if you think about it, you're spreading the germs of whatever the leftover whatever is. So you're probably doing the best of patting it down, but I don't use public bathrooms enough to really have a strategy.
So what
do you do?
Technological advance? I mean, I just go for it. You got to do your business. I'm in there. I'm out. I'm a pretty. You're not in for the luxury. I'm a methodical guy. I'm a pretty regular guy. So I get in there and I'm out of there within like 2 minutes. It's not a drawn out process.
I mean, I wish that was the case.
I mean, if in worst case scenario, when you're looking at like a concert restroom and you really just got to use it, you're hovering.
That's true, man. Those are the most disgusting bathrooms.
You just avoid the toilet seat altogether.
Anything at a bar, anything at a concert. I don't know.
But what about, the technological advances they've made? We talked about, wooden seats. We've talked about padded and regular and round. But what about like heated toilet seats? That's a popular thing now.
I'm not for it.
No.
Nope.
Me either.
Not even close.
It's kind of the idea that
makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it reminds me too much of using public restrooms where you sit down and the seat's still warm.
Someone's been there.
Ugh, no.
You know that someone's been camping out on your seat. They were making marshmallows.
Gross.
They were cooking some canned beans. Well, obviously that's why they're on the toilet, because they ate them beans.
Disgusting.
But I mean, I totally agree with that sentiment that the warm feeling reminds you that, man, this is like unnatural. For me, this is full disclosure, too much information. I like it cold, man.
Yeah.
For some reason, the bowel process is more smooth when it's a colder room.
Quick vote. Don't heat the seat.
Nope. If anything, AC the seat up. Can we get some AC toilet seats? Yeah, let's get a little fan. That would be nice, man. Have like a fan from the toilet blowing up. I don't know how that would happen.
Because then it would blow the smell up.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
But they also have toilet seats that automatically raise and lower. Very common, actually, in Japan.
Lazy.
It's lazy, but it keeps you from touching stuff.
From touching it. But yeah, but you could also grab a little extra slip of toilet paper and pick it up. You're washing your hands after you use the bathroom anyways. True. I think the biggest thing for me is putting hand sanitizer in the bathroom. In the stall with you.
Absolutely.
Because when you get done...
That's a subject for another day.
I know, but, you're touching that handle.
And have you seen recently toilet seat nightlights? So
I have seen that. Yeah, I think I saw it on Amazon or something.
Definitely.
They have everything.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're actually different colors. So like when the seat is lowered, it's red. So it says don't sit down, or when the seat is raised, it's red. So it's an alert that says don't sit down because you're going to sit and fall directly into the toilet.
Well, most people would.
Yeah. And it's green when the toilet seat is down, so you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So toilet seat technology on the rise, with the exception of the rising temperature. Heated seats, no thanks.
Let's get an AC. Let's do that. If you can heat it up, let's cool it down. It's basically a sleep number for your toilet.
Love it.
Yep.
Let's make it
happen.
If
you guys are patting it out there, go make a patent and go for it. I'm giving you full rights.
Yeah.
Take it from us, man. I just want to benefit from it. Send it over to the My Shot of Life podcast building
page.
I don't know.
That's the way to go.
Just send it over to us. We'll try it out.
So
we'll give a review of that while we're drinking a beverage.
While we're reviewing your patent ideas for toilet seat modifications, I think we can also review the whiskey of the day, Blanton Special Reserve.
Oh, man. I don't know. I didn't like it as much as original.
I agree.
There was something about it when the water started melting a little bit.
The ice. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. When the ice started melting a little bit, what I meant to say. I can talk.
Getting to them.
The whiskey's getting to me, guys. One glass. It's not what I used to be. When the ice started melting, it was some sort of, I don't want to say bitter. I can't even think of the right term right now. Earlier, whenever we were talking, I had the perfect adjective for it. It just gave me a wrong impression of the type of drink it was, and I didn't like it.
I'll agree. I mean, I'm not 100% certain what we rated the Blantons, but I would certainly pay a little bit extra to purchase the Blanton's original single barrel.
Well, which one was more expensive?
The regular Blantons.
Okay. Well, that would make
sense.
And
it depends
then.
Where you live, but...
Was it $10 more for... It's not a handle either. It's like a...
It's about $15 more for the Blanton's original.
Okay.
Which I think is worth it.
It's the same amount, too, isn't it?
Yeah, same size bottle.
Well, guys, if you're looking for better whiskey out of the two, we're going to say original. I mean, that's the way to go, honestly.
And I think that's a good way to end the episode. Remember to take your shot and be yourself. You know, don't let the guilty pleasures get you down. Don't let other people's judgments affect who you are and what you're into. Just go out and do you.
All I got to say is, if there are furries out there and they're getting love, you can get love with whatever you love.
True.
You know what I mean? I said love too much, but you know what I meant.
It's just we love you guys so much.
We love you guys.
Thank you so much for supporting the podcast and giving it a listen. If you feel so inclined, please rate and leave us a review on iTunes. Really helps drive popularity and exposure. Don't forget to check out our website, myshotoflife.com, and give us a follow on social media at myshotoflife on both Twitter and Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel, where in addition to iTunes and SoundCloud, we will be posting our episodes each week. Feel free to reach out to us through our various outlets with comments and suggestions on future episode topics, as well as different drinks to try and rate.
We're signing off. I'm Steven.
And I am Victor.
And remember, drinks are always better with friends.